You want to second it?
Motion by Hudson, second by Clark. Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
No, due to my absence, which I apologize for. I was sick and didn't know that I would be.
Clark,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Chandler,
Yes.
Kennard,
What are we voting on now?
minutes.
Oh, and due to the fact that I wasn't here, I don't want to vote yes.
Okay. So that's a no.
No.
Madam Chair, the motion carries.
Next up on our agenda, we have communications.
Madam Chair, members, I have two items to report. The city clerk has confirmed that the Brownfield redevelopment plan for the former American Laundry site was approved by City Commission back on 21st of August. And documentation of that is included within your packet as pages 4 and 5. The second item, which is not on your agenda, I received a letter from Prairie Real Estate Group regarding reconsideration of eligible demolition expenses. They've submitted that documentation. I've begun that review, but have not yet completed it. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Chair recognizes Citizen Rep Hudson.
Thank you, Chair. Mark, I noticed on the city's approval of this resolution, for Brownfield plan, 227 Territorial, 218 4th Street. Are those two separate buildings, or is it a building with,
And property.
also,
Yes, Mr. Hudson, it is a property that has an improvement on it, and it is a vacant property that's contiguous with it.
okay, so I guess that we do have environmentals on the so-called vacant property, which would lend it to be acceptable for whatever funding we requested.
Mr. Hudson, you may or may not recall, I don't know if you were here during the original presentation, but contamination was identified in the groundwater beneath the former American Laundry site, and flow direction is to the north, which would be beneath this contiguous property.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, if there's no further comments, we'll move on to public comments.
None here.
You like to take a vote?
Yeah. You can come on.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Ann Jennings, for those of you that may not know me. I am coming before the board to make a small yet important request. I did become aware very late of the technical assistance RFP for the Brownfield Authority and wanted to implore the board to consider offering an extension for submission of an RFP. I think that's pretty much it. For those of you that are unaware, I am returning to the community and once served as the Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Benton Harbor. Have also worked in that capacity with the City of Inkster, have worked with the State of Michigan as well. But like I said, I was made aware of this position far later than possible for me to make a true packet and put it together in the submission prior to the submission deadline. Would like to implore the board for an extension if possible. Thank you.
So Mark, in this case, I'm not really sure, will we need to take a vote, what the procedure will be here, but Ms. Hall has joined us.
Yes. Thank you. And start.
406.
Madam Chair, a request has been made to possibly reconsider or extend rather, the RFP deadline from today at 4 o'clock until some other date in the future. That request was made by Tracy Ann Jennings just as you were coming in the door. The question was asked of me if there's what the process is for doing that. There is no process for doing that. If you choose to, you could amend your deadline date. You have the flexibility to do whatever you want.
What would be your recommendation?
This,
Based on, I mean, you know what you've received so
well, all I can do is I can tell you that this request has been open for 60 days, at least 60 days now. It was posted for over 60 days. You have received submittals, plural, from which you can begin an evaluation and you can select from if you choose. I don't know what, beyond Ms. Jennings' comments here momentarily, a few minutes ago, I don't know what her expertise is with regards to the RFP that you put out there, and perhaps she could express that expertise.
I'm okay with extending it. I don't know what the board has to say. We can take it, but I think it would be fine to extend it. The question is how long? And I don't know if Tracy could let us know approximately how long she'd need to put a packet together.
I could have a packet in its entirety by Tuesday.
Who's recognizing us, the chair or the co-chair? Or we just willy-nilly?
Thank you, Ms. Commissioner.
You're welcome.
Yes. Now, who wants to speak next?
Mr.,
No,
Is this
my
been
question was
waiting?
answered. Thank you.
you were waiting? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the answer.
Who's got the hand up?
Me, yes.
All right,
I was waiting for
Commissioner
him
Adams.
because he did before I did.
right, Commissioner.
Trying to be respectful.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna sometimes follow rules all the time. My
Absolutely.
goodness. I guess, I don't know in what order we do this because our chair lady just walked in. And we're on public comments. When do we touch a base on a matter like this? Because prior to the meeting, I was able to ask our consultant, Mr. Florian, if in fact any applications that came in. So I guess when we get to that portion would be the opportunity to entertain conversation on this matter of the public comments from Ms. Jennings.
Okay, is she supposed to be on the agenda for,
No,
rather than on
ma'am.
public comments?
No, ma'am. She just came up
Okay.
for public comments
public
and she wanted to submit that and have that ask of us.
Will that come up on one of our agenda items for the public comments?
Madam
We can
Chair,
Come back and revisit that.
we are going to be discussing on your agenda under new business, this RFQP, and talking about the submittals that have been received. I would strongly suggest, however, that if you are contemplating extending this date, that we remove that from the agenda. We don't talk about what we've received or who
Exactly.
we've received it from,
Exactly.
in fairness to those who have submitted.
So, Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
with that being said, we've been working on this for quite some time now, more than 60 days. And the last time we RFP or requested this position out, we got nothing at all. So I don't think a little more extended time would hurt us.
Point of correction, Madam Chair, we did have respondents during the last go-round. We just didn't have the response that we had hoped for. And
Oh,
the selection committee had made an alternative recommendation, which has now led us to resubmitting and reposting.
but I agree with what our consultant, Mr. Florian, has stated about not discussing this matter when it comes up on the agenda until.
Okay, you finished?
Yes,
Raise your
ma'am.
hand up, did you?
You
okay? Okay.
I would be interested to know what are her qualifications since she's made this request now, so that we can make a determination whether it's even feasible.
That's
To extend it.
actually her request.
So, I mean, because if she doesn't have the necessary qualifications or experience that's being asked in the RFP, there's no sense in extending the time.
I would tend to agree, Madam Chair, although it's kind of a catch-22 because we don't want to talk about the qualifications of those who have submitted, but we're asking this individual to talk about her qualifications. Now, those parties who've already submitted aren't going to resubmit. Their documents are going to be maintained and sealed. So this candidate wouldn't have the opportunity to know what theirs are and therefore adjust hers. I think it's a fair question. You're being asked to consider delaying by some period of time, but it's up to you whether you want to go that route.
Mr. Knight?
I wouldn't have a problem with that, with her submitting by Tuesday, her qualifications. And we would have an idea of what she have to offer. And, we've waited a lot longer for other things to happen than even this, so I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Seems like it's the consensus of the board. Oh, sorry.
I think
Mr.
Ivy
Hudson?
raised,
Yes.
I think Ms. Ivy raised an important point. As a means of deciding to extend, I have no problem with an extension, but she's saying that there may not be a need to extend based on the prima facie evidence of lack of correlation with the talents of Ms. Jennings and what we are requesting. I don't think it would be unfair to anyone that has already submitted because they can't resubmit. And she is the one asking for the allowance. So I don't think that it would hurt our process if she was to answer Ms. Ivy's question as to
She is here.
general idea. She's sitting right there.
That makes sense.
All right. So it's been the pleasure of the board that we make a motion.
Well,
Well, just
Oh,
already speaking.
Mr. Adams.
I'm sorry, because I don't know in what order this needs to take place, because we have another person of the general public that has shown up that wants to speak. And we're still on public comments, because it's,
Can she just extend her comments to include what are her
Yeah, because-
qualifications?
yeah.
And then we can
Mrs.
continue.
Adams
public
has the
work.
floor.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
but
sorry.
I would relinquish my time over to Ms. Chandler, because that's what, I think needs to happen.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So you can talk. Go ahead now.
No, I would just have her to come forward and tell us what are her qualifications. I heard you say you've been in community development in the past. But as for this particular RFP, what qualifies you for that?
Oh, well, based upon the scope of work that is being
Speak
requested.
into the mic, please.
Sorry. Based upon the scope of work that is being requested within the RFP, my experience working both with the City of Benton Harbor and the City of Inkster and their Tax Incremental Finance Authority Board, I believe that I do have the qualifications. I don't know if you wanted me to rattle off and link my resume or my credentials, but I do have copies for the board to peruse. I do have copies of my resume at length. It's 2-page resume.
Can we?
With details. I mean, it has actual details. It's rather lengthy.
Yeah. Let me say this, we have a process, don't we? For getting in applications.
That is correct.
We have a process. So she's come to us today. Why can't we involve her? And we haven't put those other people out. So put her resume in the process.
Move to extend
Oh,
the RFP until Tuesday.
with,
With Ms. Jennings.
That's right.
Tuesday at 4:00.
Then
we can always have a special,
That's right.
I'm sorry. Ma'am, through the chair. We can always have a special meeting.
I wanted to just make sure you put your environmental experience in there as well.
Well, so I have the requirements with the packet, and yes, it is in there. Most recently, I was the Region 5 Community Engagement Coordinator for the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Division of Environmental Health. But I am, like I said, relocating to Benton Harbor, coming back home
Yes.
for the long haul.
That,
Lucky us.
the process before 4 o'clock.
Madam Chair, you have a motion by Mr. Hudson.
Support.
Okay, this is board and second now.
Please.
I just, Miss Tracy has said she got, her resume. I was just wondering to the board to go ahead and get her resume so we can go ahead and look it over.
Let her submit with the
Yeah.
process.
It's in the process.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get all of it.
Okay. Oh, okay, we'll get them all at the same time, because by now we should have received those. So I thought.
Nope.
I thought that was something that we voted on, that every member.
For this very reason.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Oh,
Madam
we're
Chair,
good.
for this
It
very
works.
reason.
It works.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Mr. Hudson, second by Commissioner Adams.
Any other questions, concerns? Here none, roll call.
Chandler,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes,
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
thank you. We're still on, public comments, and the ladies stepped in later. We have some.
4 o'clock Tuesday.
Have public comments?
And Mike. Okay, go and pass this out first.
You can't say hand it to the secretary so she can pass those.
That's what you do. I'm first time here, so.
Oh, you're fine. Thank you. Okay, all right.
My name is Patricia Quatrin. I'm the director of the Benton Harbor Girls Academy and the Benton Harbor Girls Association for Learning and Self-Esteem, which is a nonprofit organization that operates the Benton Harbor Girls Academy. This brochure here gives you a background on both the Benton Harbor Girls Association, and the paper I gave you gives a little bit of history. We incorporated in 2006, started having after-school and summer programs in 2007, and opened the Girls Academy in 2010. So we've been running our school for about 12 years now. And the school, the reason that the group of us got together and decided to do this is that we were seeing that the MEP scores for kids in the Benton Harbor school system were not getting any better, and that there were a number of young girls who were getting pregnant. So they're young girls, young children actually trying to raise children. So we felt that an academy for girls, all girls, would help these young girls develop their skills, academic skills, and their self-esteem skills, and just have a place where they could come and learn, where they could feel comfortable, safe, and nurtured. We have, at this point, we've had, well, the academy goes from, we accept 4th, 5th, and 6th grade girls, and we keep them through 8th grade, and then so that make sure that they're prepared for high school, so they can succeed in high school. And we've had about between 30 and 40 girls go through our program in the last 10 years. And I like to maybe break a little bit that our girls, not one of our girls has gotten pregnant, and all have graduated from high school. And several of them, and several of them have gone on to college. So we try to follow them, we try to track them to see how things are going, and we're always available for any help that they need for admittance to college or job applications or whatever. So we're there for them as long as they need us. We have in the past several years, we were housed in the St. John's building, grade school building that over on Columbus for about 8 years. We had one classroom, so we available to us, but we had 15 girls, and we had to turn girls away. So there is a need for this school, and but then we had to move out of the St. John's building because the parish wanted the building for some other things. And so we have been moving around four buildings in the last 5. We've made 4 moves in the last 5 years, which means that parents can't even find us. So it's been kind of a difficult situation, both for us and for the girls who need us. We have property on the corner of Pearl, Catalpa, and Broadway. I believe it's 7 or 8 city lots. And we have been wanting to build a place there. We had some modulars that were donated to us that we were going to, we had revamped for our school and had been certified by the state as a school. But the planning commission, in the end, after 2 years of working with them, said that we couldn't, they wouldn't allow it. So we went back to the drawing board and we designed the building pretty much the same thing, except that it's stick building, and that got passed very quickly. Couple months later, it got passed. So, but of course, now we have to raise the money to build that building, and that's what we've been trying to do for the last 3 years. We do have a loan we have the promise of a loan, I should say, but we have to raise a quarter of the amount of money, and we haven't yet been able to do that. So one of the main reasons that I'm here, aside from making you all, those of you who don't know us, making you all aware of what we are, who we are, and what we're trying to accomplish. We were hoping that there might be some funding through the Brownfield Development Authority, some funding that would help us move forward with the building of our building.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, based on the brief summary that Dr. Quatrin made, I am not aware of, off the top of my head, how this authority could be of any assistance. That's not to say it can't. I just, at this moment, am not aware of a mechanism by which you could be of assistance. And the main reason for that, Dr. Quatrin, is that this authority is governed by statute as to how it can spend its funds. And it's very limited. You can't make donations or grants that aren't consistent with Act 381, which in effect means that if the site's not contaminated and we're not helping to clean it up, or we're not helping to remove blight or functional obsolescence, things of that sort, then we can't help. If there is a need that you have that might fit one of those general broad categories that I just described, I'd be happy to talk about it with you further.
Well, I can say we had 2 houses on the property, and we had hoped to use one or the other when we received them donated to us as our school, but both of them had what is that?
It's not asbestos.
Asbestos. So we had to have both of them taken down, torn down. So that's already been done. As far as I know, the property is okay. I don't know that we've ever had the property tested, but we did have one on one corner point and one on the other point, one on the edge of Pearl Street and the other one on the edge of Broadway. So
Madam Chair, if you and the members would like, I'd be happy to have discussion with Dr. Quatrin outside of this meeting, to talk about her plans, what she's already done, and how we might be able to be of assistance, or whether or not we can. Up to you.
That's what I was gonna suggest, that you speak with her first, and you check with Act Committee One, and see if there's any way that you can help her based upon what she wants done. Maybe the application, or maybe something that we could put in the future with giving her the, building of rebuilding of one. Just ask the 81 what we can do,
Be
based
happy
upon
to.
what she presented. If there's anything we can do, we'll try to help you.
okay, thank you very much.
My contact information is all on here, my email and my cell number.
I fail to see how us offering Floridians expertise to our esteemed madam should be a cost to this commission. She should be able to come to us and indicate what it is that she wants, and we will make a vote on the floor based on its appropriateness.
Just know, let me answer that. She came to us.
She hasn't indicated to any degree of, how what we do
She
is
doesn't know.
something that would be applicable in her project.
Right, absolutely. But she doesn't know what we can or cannot do.
Well, why should that become an expense to this council? That should be borne by the Benton Harbor Girls Association.
You know, we're here to help spur. And if we can spur some development based upon what they're gonna build, and we can give her a cut on the build, we're here to spur development. So we gotta see if we can help you, because you do plan to build.
Yes.
Don't you?
Oh, yes, we're ready to go.
Okay.
And if this-
Taxes to the city of Benton Harbor.
And if this is of any importance, the Habitat for Humanity is going to build the building for us.
Well, now, he asked the question though.
Okay,
We'll be paying taxes.
so.
Pardon me?
Come on, Mark, let Mark speak now.
Madam Chair, to alleviate any Mr. Hudson's concerns and any other similar concerns, I will be happy to have this conversation and this discussion, dialogue with Dr. Quatrin
Absolutely.
without charging this
Thank
authority
you.
whatsoever.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you.
As an aside, I did have an opportunity to attend a fundraising gala that they put on several years ago for this school, and it's quite impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Florian. I would like to just,
Oh, no, I thank him.
All right,
okay.
okay.
I just like to say that I think what my colleague over here was talking about, not the remediation work, well, it may be the remediation work that needs to be done. I mean, I guess even if the houses are torn down, with this lead thing that we've had going on for the past 18, 19, 20 months, 3, 4 years, that it's a possibility that lead could be in the dirt,
Exactly.
but to just try and find out if what we can do to see if something may be present even on the land itself, to put it within a brownfield plan before Habitat even start on the development. Even though the other, components did not work, that the planning commission denied. I would also like to say that I think that it would do us good, since brownfield laws of the act, what is it, 287?
381?
381. 381 has changed a little, that we all become abreast of what it actually allows us to do. And if Mark could put something together for our understanding and for us all to allow the public to become knowledgeable and educated as to what those changes were. So people don't come before us with the wrong conception, because in the beginning, they thought that we were giving out grants and accusing us of different things, so just to.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'd like to speak for the public comment too.
Yes. I think, I don't know if you remember me, Dr. Cole.
Pardon me?
Ms. Kennard,
I don't know whether you remember me, but I was one of your
Of
volunteers.
course, I remember you.
Yes. In fact, we even did a garden on one of the lots that you.
Yes.
For the girls. And I worked with them, I don't know how long it was.
Several years.
Yes, but I was well aware of that because our youth is really, I'm compassionate towards youth. I worked with them from the time I was 5 years old babysitting for my mom, which I didn't know very much about it, but I've been in close contact with children for years. And her taking out the time to work with our children before they become young adults, I think that's very important years in their life that they need all the attention that they can get. So many times parents work and other reasons that they don't get the attention that they need. So it's good for us to have this surrogate, I guess you'd call it, to sort of channel their behavior or help them along the way. But I do know that we have rules of operating the Brownfield, and more than likely, from what I heard, as working with the garden, and I got the conservation award in 2015, there's more than likely lead in there, but they have to test it to see if it's a safe amount in there that you can build on. So I'm thinking that you won't find any hardly if there's been a home there, because they used lead in the paint for years. So you're gonna find some, but it might be a safe level of lead in the soil.
Madam Chair.
Are you finished? Yes, I'm finished, thank you.
Madam Chair. I'll make it real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you. She mentioned something that I think that we need to revisit, and that's the mere fact that if they have gotten these girls through high school and on to college, if we could think about putting a packet back together, Mark, in the form of some type of scholarship.
Madam,
I mean, we had something, but we never used it, never advertised it.
and Madam Chair, members recall that path has now been
Okay,
Closed.
then we leave it alone. Thank you, sir. We can move on.
by the state.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much.
Okay. Excuse me.
Any other public
Me.
comments?
Hello, everyone. Dr. Q, I've been on that board 9 months, and I've seen progress, and the girls are well manable. And I got on there to help because I've seen her at like a meeting I was invited to, and I've been a part of it ever since. Now, I recall several months ago when some people came for the Cabin Britten School, and money was, if I'm not mistaken, was given for that project. I believe it was Cabin Britten, or was it Head Start? Well, I was in here. So, I've been trying to find out what do she need to do. That's why she's here today, because I haven't been able to find out how do she come to the Brownfield, what do she need to bring. So I told her just come and come when the meeting, and I know one point the meetings changed, so I had to try to get her when I knew the meeting was consistent. So that's what she's really coming to see, what you guys can do. So Mark working with her or whatever can tell her, because I know that you guys do help with certain things, schools and other things, depending on whatever your act is. So yeah, it's a great thing. So I would like, to explore every avenues to try to help, what they're doing. It's a great thing, and it's a nonprofit. So those lots, I think Mr. Hudson said something about taxes. It's a nonprofit, and if I'm not mistaken, the lots belong to the school. So to the nonprofit, yeah, exactly. So there wouldn't be much tax paid because it belongs to that. But that's all. Thank you.
right, thank you. Right, Mark. Okay. Portion of public comments are closed. We have committee reports.
Madam Chair, we have no reports today.
Thank you. Treasury report. Mark.
Madam Chair and members, financial reports from Plant Moran for the month of August are included in your packet, pages 6 through 9. I'd like to direct you to page 8, if I may. That's your balance sheet. Probably the two most important numbers on that sheet are your total assets, which as of August 31st were a little over $882,000. And your accounts payable, which we'll address here in just a moment, are just over $1,054. If you'll then turn to page 9, which is your income statement. I recall this is just a 2-month income statement because your fiscal year began in July. You had roughly $1,243 of total income during that period of time. That's all interest, I might add, on your accounts, which is a nice thing to see finally. Go a little bit further down in that right-hand column, you'll see total expenses of a little over $7,827 year to date. That gives you a net income, a negative net income of a little over $6,500 for that 2-month period. I'll point out that next month you will be receiving, at least I fully expect to receive, the disbursement of the summer tax capture, which is going to turn that number around significantly by over a couple $100,000, I would expect. So look for that change next month, Madam Chair and members. Be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have. Otherwise, we'd be looking for approval of your financial reports.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, support.
Who made the motion?
Oh, motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions on the matter? Hearing none? Roll call.
Hudson. Chandler. Oh, I'm sorry. Absent. Kennard.
Yes.
Hull.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, payable list.
Madam Chair and members, on page 10 of your packet, you have a payables listing. I'm going to point out that this listing is in error by $450. The invoice entry that is indicated for Plant Moran suggested that that's a two-month entry. That is incorrect. It's only for the month of August. Therefore, the charge is only $450 that we're seeking your approval for today. So the total amount of charges that we're asking for approval to pay is $1,504.38.
Need a motion? Is it necessary correction?
Motion to,
Is it necessary correction?
with necessary corrections.
Need a second? Questions, concerns? Hearing none?
I have,
Oh, I'm sorry.
because I've never seen it before. I see my initials down here below with .25. I was charged for you to put that on this agenda. I know, I didn't know it worked like that.
Okay,
I'm listening.
you all, you have, you got the floor.
I'm waiting for Mark to.
Madam Chair? Commissioner Adams, yes, I did charge 15 minutes for that effort, and I'll tell you why I did that. You'd sent me 2 different emails, and you gave me an address for the property on one of the emails. I looked into the address of the property. I couldn't figure out, I had no address. I had no such address.
Okay.
And so I spent a fair amount of time trying to figure out what property you were actually talking about before I came back and just put this on the agenda.
Okay, and I'd like to clear that up because I was basically, I think I was asking, I sent it in the form of a question as to if that could actually happen before I actually gave an address to try and see if in fact every one of the board members would like to tour this thing, but we'll talk about it. But I would like to be paid for my time too, but I thought that we all just paid you by the hour when you working on, when so many things come up and you're getting our stuff together. I thought that's the way it
I
worked.
could charge you an hour if you'd like.
No.
Okay.
Don't do that. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you.
Thank you. We have a motion by Adams, support by Warren.
Let's call for the question, ready for the vote.
Kennard,
Yes.
Hull,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Hudson,
Me, yes.
Chandler,
For the
for the payables
Randall
listing.
Moran. Yes.
Madam Chair, motion carries.
Thank you. New business, we don't have any old business, new business.
Madam Chair, the first item that we were going to discuss under new business was the RFP responses. I think we've talked about that enough. I will hold the responses that we have. Tuesday, we will expect to receive another response, and what I have will remain under seal. Once we have that additional response, how would you like me to reach out to all of you? How do you want to begin the process of reviewing these? Perhaps is a discussion worth having now.
We have a committee?
Mm-mm.
We have no committee at this
We
time,
went
Madam
there
Chair.
before. We went there before.
So then, my question would be just maybe have a call meeting. Discuss a call meeting. Or make a committee.
Mm-mm.
So the first thing I would prefer is if we can get an email so we can review it ahead of time.
Each member. Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I may.
well, she has the floor, right?
And then after we do that, we could call a meeting, but that way we can review it ahead of time and kind of come with our concerns or in our feedback.
That's it? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My colleague mentioned, and I agree with her, that's the order it should be done, but she didn't state who should receive. And I think, in my opinion, it should be everyone on this board that chooses or has an interest in viewing all applications before making a decision, since it's all of us that will be making a decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Elson?
Is there a problem with us coming to this monthly scheduled meeting next month and review and make a decision? Is time of the essence such that that would join us from doing whatever it is we have to do?
They can happen alone.
And Mark,
Madam Chair, if I may, I think what you're suggesting is that, and what Ms. Warren is suggesting, that everybody receive a copy of what's been submitted. I can get you all electronic copies after Tuesday. Then you'll have between that point in time until the next meeting to review those submittals, and we can talk about it at that meeting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
We should have had.
I have no objection to that. If it's your
Since
consensus,
time
that's
is
the way
not
we'll
of
move.
the essence, are we working against some?
Nope.
Okay, so.
One motion for that?
I'd like to ask a question. Okay. And what timetable are we looking to be prepared?
Next meeting.
The
We'll
next
come
meeting.
to the next meeting, all information will be discussed at that night. We can move accordingly.
Okay, the reason I said that because, I live quite a distance from my children. And they've already got my flight for the 5th of next month.
Yeah.
Which I won't be back until about the 15th. And therefore, I'd like to be a part of reviewing those and being a part of, at least having some input.
Join us on Zoom.
No, this is what I would suggest. You send her the information, she reads it, and sends in her opinion of what she think might be better. And we can move. Okay? The board's still gonna have to vote for it. The total board. So you send him your opinion, it'll be on file, what you think.
Okay.
Once once he sends you the information. And then when we get together, then it'll be in there.
Okay, Tuesday evening, if I understand correct.
Okay, so we're a whole month, putting ourselves a whole month out, and I thought that we would probably have a special meeting to take care of this, since we were given, one of Benton Harbor's locals an opportunity, which is Tuesday, and we're at Thursday now. So if we're putting that sort of a constraint on her, we can give her until next Wednesday or Thursday, or Friday even. But my thing is, I know that we're entering into the change of the season, and October is usually a busy, well, speaking with a lot of people, we have some more trainings coming up. Well, I know the elected officials, as well as some other things city-wise coming up next month. So, I mean, I'm okay with, cause I'm gonna be wherever I need to be. And when I can't be, I just won't be. But I just think that we need to rethink giving her at least until next Friday if we're gonna wait a whole month out. But I would like to personally have those in our hands as soon as the next applicant send their stuff in, so we can start reviewing. Because I personally have a lot of other applications to go over to.
Ms. Jennings herself has indicated to this board that next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Why are
Well, then
we-
fine.
Yes, absolutely.
Fine, let's
All right.
move forward.
Thank you.
All right, I'll have all of the responses emailed to you on Tuesday evening. And you can review them prior to your next meeting, which is October 12th.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything else on that?
No, ma'am. The next item under new business was a request by Commissioner Adams regarding the 190 Michigan property. Commissioner Adams would like to outline, I think, her interest in a possible investment in that property by the authority.
Okay,
Is that?
if I may, Madam Chair, thank you, Mark. In the midst of trying to get local people employed, trained into decent housing, decent paying jobs, or just spark economic growth, period, within the city of Benton Harbor ever since I've been an elected official. Actually, ever since 2002, since I joined this board, which is exactly why I approved the $500 million development that was approved. My yes vote was for the very moment that I'm speaking on now, as far as this property right here or any other one that's going to come up. In times past, the Brownfield Authority Board did not allow us to do any development of our own or to utilize the funds that of the tax captured dollars to be able to put into our own development. We have fought as an elected official, speaking on our elected officials, how hard they have fought for someone to come in here and do job training of the Benton Harbor residents that people look down here, a perfect example in front of the stores throughout the community and this large low apartment housing development that people need training. So in search of going through the community and trying to find a placement with a nonprofit organization of Southwestern Planning Commission, the newly brought in, oh gosh, I forgot their name, but our representative Joey Andrews with the local 255, I think that is, and Project Need Foundation, which is a local nonprofit, looking for office space and just a space, a decent space and place to get things done for the community, where different things can not only be hosted, but nice office space. It's no secret if you've gone through City Hall, which is falling apart still slowly but surely, but we keep putting money into it. But I would ask that my colleagues of the Brownfield Authority would set a time and date to take a tour through this building, and also the old Harold Palladium. We need to start building on assets and doing some economic development of our own to help aid our city's growth. I took a tour through this building and it has great possibilities. I've looked at this old place over here that we allowed and helped Cornerstone to redevelop right here on the corner that has sparked some economic development, some jobs, and adding to our tax base. I think that it's time that we, as an authority, can do the same for the city of Benton Harbor, even if we just have to, when we get this building together and up to code, but putting it in a brownfield plan and renting out the space to different organizations, that too would actually spark some economic growth. I went on a tour with some people that was actually looking for some downtown space. It's various. It's so various that some of the people in the community, business owners, we have a lot of empty land. And they want to put containers and make them out of office spaces in our downtown area. Is that the type of thing we want? Is that what we want to see? Or do we want to go in and try to remodel and salvage and redevelop buildings like this that has concrete floors? They don't even make buildings like this anymore. I've watched them tear down two big old beautiful pieces, well, one beautiful piece of historical property, which was the old OIC on the corner of Britain and Columbus. That would have outlasted all of our lives and our children's lives and their lives and so on and so forth. But they don't build buildings like this with concrete floors in between them.
So you're asking,
If we would put this in a brownfield plan one step at a time. If the board would entertain a tour and come back with a decision as to entering it into some type of development agreement. And utilizing what we can along the way and so also seeking other brownfield dollars to help with the redevelopment of it.
Same old story. I'll give you the same response. The owner of that property or a prospective developer for that property should come to this board and present us with a synopsis or prospectus. I don't like talking about investments and verbal innuendos at the same time. I think that before we invest time and energy in visiting, let us see something in, nature of a prospectus to guide us. Other than that, it's just, it's like following unrealizable dreams. That to me is not a prescription for success. So I think that would be the purpose or the best way for me to.
Mr. Hudson?
Yeah, that's it.
Mr. Nard?
Yes, I do understand the importance, especially of our youth, to get training so that they can have a viable, good track record to go into their adulthood and maybe even have, become entrepreneurs or have skills to go and work and take care of themselves or their family. I have joined with a group. I won't start naming names yet. We haven't come before any group to ask for anything, but they're starting classes. Myself in landscaping, this fall I will be teaching landscape classes as well so as floral design. Horticulture is my background, and I'm excellent. I say I'm a bad girl when it comes to landscaping, doing bed lines. Bad. And I know how to do that. I know how to teach the youth and to make it a low maintenance. I didn't say no maintenance. A lot of people get it confused. You said no, I said low, L-O-W, low maintenance. There's nothing that you would never have to do in the maintenance. If you clean up a house and leave it there for a while, you're gonna find dust that settles or something. It's gonna need some kind of maintaining. So when I say low maintenance, meaning that you won't have to just be out there constantly weeding. I know how to do this. I went to Andrews University, I got my training, but I have enhanced my designing over the years to low maintenance, and knowing the plants that you put in that will cause you to not have to work around them or work them so much during the summer months.
But point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we gotta- yes.
But what
Have a
I'm,
motion on-
but what I'm saying is that we're coming and getting ahead. I see what Commissioner Adams is talking about, the training. But what we're doing is we're putting traction now. Time is late for our children to be trained. We had the tech center and other places that our children got trained. That's no longer here. So we have to get in here and support our children, work with them as much as they can, not speak about what this old kid is bad, that kid, give them something to do. Give them some training. So that's what I'm in for. And I fought for a number of years for that. Okay, I'm through.
You have your hand up?
I did, yes. I just want to be clear. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I want to be clear that the Brownfield Authority now has the capability to redevelop a property without a proposal from an owner or
Awesome.
that's
Yes,
my
that's-
question. Does
It's
the
a question she's
Brownfield
asking.
have that authority to redevelop a property without a proposal of some sort? I mean, can the Brownfield Authority now buy a property and redevelop it for the purpose of renting out to organizations that intend to do training or business or whatever?
Let me say this, we don't have a motion on the floor. So when we do have a motion on the floor, we can only speak on that motion and not go off the motion. But what,
Excuse me, I'm not, am I off the motion is what
no,
you're
no,
saying?
no, no, you, I thought you was
That was,
finished.
that was a good valid question there.
Yeah, I thought you was finished. And so I said that to say this. Mark has to look into it, and we'll have to agree with something with what she wants to do.
Well, she just stated it, and I'd like to hear Mark's.
Just a
Madam
moment,
Chair.
just a moment. With what you want, then we would have to decide as a
It's
board
not about me.
with what the motion would be if we want to be landlords. Okay, Mark, you can go with that. Because that's what we would end up being, landlords.
The
All right,
city.
Mark.
I think that Ms. Adams is asking first for members of this authority to just take a look at the building or the two buildings
Mhm.
and see if it's something that this authority might have any interest in whatsoever. I don't know who the owners are of these buildings. I don't know anything. I don't even know who to contact as far as being able to get in and do a coordinated tour.
Interest for what?
It's not
For
my, it's
exactly
not
the
my
question.
proposal, Madam Chair.
Yeah, it's a.
Can he answer what Ms.
Yeah,
Chandler
Go ahead.
asked?
I'm new to the
It-
this
it was
authority,
valid.
so I may be, for several years ago, I worked for the city of Benton Harbor and was a part of this, but from what you're saying, the rules have changed and the capability of this authority has also changed.
Mhm.
Are we able to even consider what she's proposing or intends to propose?
Purchasing.
Now, she has the floor.
Yeah.
You finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss,
So.
Can he answer that? Before this?
Madam Chair, Member Ivy, Member Chandler, rather. Yes, an authority can own property. An authority could be the owner and developer of a property under certain circumstances. And those circumstances are all defined within the statute. And remember, I talked earlier to Dr. Quatrin about you can only use your money for certain types of activities. Well, there are a lot of activities in a property development. Many of them you can't use your money for. Some you can. I don't know enough about either of these properties to say with any degree of confidence whether there's enough work there, whether there's what you can do and what you can't do. But the statute gives you some latitude. You can be a landlord. You can be a landlord if you want to be a landlord.
Thank you.
okay,
So,
you finished, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
so my question is, have the owners even been notified? Because maybe they might be interested in coming to the Brownfield.
I can speak to that question because the organization I work for is currently looking for space in the city of Benton Harbor and specifically and preferably in the downtown area. So I've had the opportunity to look at both of those buildings she's referring to, the Palladium and the other one.
Baton Prison.
Yes, back to printing.
Printing.
And I've submitted the information about those buildings to my management. In the course of that, the building was originally priced at $349,000. However, we were offered a discount of about half of that, if we were about to buy the building within a 60-day period. They have not come back my management has not come back with an offer at this point or responded for whatever reasons they have. But yes, the owner is very motivated and it is a great property with many possible uses.
Any other question?
She still has the floor.
Finished? He was finished.
Okay.
Mr. Adam, I mean,
Okay.
no, I think he had his hand up.
Oh,
Until some writings hit this table, I think we just,
Okay.
talking.
Ms. Adam?
thank you.
It's not
You
going
done?
anywhere.
You finished?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Should be
sure?
finished. I'm
Oh, okay,
sure.
then you finished. So,
You
with
don't
that
even
being
start.
said,
Okay, okay.
I would like to just say that we can't start anywhere. We don't go look or examine a thing. And it's just not up to me nor you. So be respectful about it. But I think that our state senator, Joey Andrews, has gotten all of these union workers together and they're finally here and want to train our people, regardless of what others may think of them. They need to be trained. God hasn't given up on any of us, and for any heart that has, see the King.
They've given up on
I
themselves.
would say that if anybody is interested in looking at these buildings, I have all of that information, Mark, and I will send it to you forward. And you can set up a time or send out a doodle or whatever for whomsoever is interested in growth instead of being stagnated and still and full of negativity.
Yeah,
Because I'm not the
Let-
one.
let me say
Responsive
this.
to rational, logical actions.
Yeah. This board and the activated one, as Mark said, gives us plenty of opportunities. But I would like to say that if you wanted to bake a pie, you first gotta get the apples and then get it ready, cause we need this to bake this pie. We don't get the pan and the stuff without the apples. Saying that means this: if we have some projects or people come to us and say, we want to train some people, we want to develop some things, we want this, we don't have no building. Is there a building you can find for us? Is there an opportunity in a building? We need some place to house all these things we want to do. If they do that, then we start looking or start doing some things and say, we have one lot down on the corner that we purchased. It took us 3-4 years, because we had these great ideas, Nobody bought it. We tried. They came, we wanted it. We ended up giving it to the city for $1. But I'm in agreement with all of you. Let's develop. But let's say these people come to us, they need a building, they need some land, they need some room, they need space. They got these ideas, we're gonna put this in this house. But once we do it, if we can, we're just looking at it. We're just looking at it. But I want you to hold these things in your mind when you jump out there, because Mark said, this is what 381 said we can do. But we don't want to be stuck here just because you say this is some of the things we can do. We want to be practical. And we know that Miss Adams been working for job training for years. For years. People need
Successfully?
opportunities. Yes.
Never will with negativity around you.
Or lack of capacity.
So we want to help where we can. When they bring stuff to us and they got a package ready, we'll do it. But it's totally up to this board. So that was my opinion. Everybody has to have an opinion.
Yeah.
And that was
Thank
my
you.
opinion. I don't stop none of y'all's opinion. But I am saying, let's have something that we want to put in these places. Because we can just have a lot of beautiful facilities with no place to go. You've got to have something in these once you put them together. We ended up being the landlords. We didn't, and we have to pay for the lights, the water, the gas.
Mowing.
That's right. And how long it has to pay for all that stuff. So think about it. All I'm saying is, think about it. Now, anybody else got something you
Oh,
want to
I
say?
do.
Well, go ahead and say it.
Because I'm gonna say this. Since I've been down here for the 22 last 22 years,
24, I think.
20, close,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I have been involved in watching Benton Harbor just suffer. And it will continue if nobody does nothing. But as a legislative chair for many years, as economic development chair for many years, I worked my butt off to try to achieve adding to this city's tax base, creating jobs, managed to do both. It took some hard fighting though, and some educating that needs to continue about some of the things that have started up, but they've already started. But decriminalizing some things for Black people in a predominantly Black community, but growth must continue. And I'm bringing this forth because I know firsthand of what it's going to take to prepare a building to even be sold to somebody of interest. We don't have to be landlords. We can make an investment and fix it up and sell it for much greater than what we paid for it. It's called flipping, just like you do a house. But it's time that we show this community that we haven't just been sitting here making decisions, doing nothing, but showing them something tangible of what we can do and what this brownfield is and consists of. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sounds good.
So I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding. This is a lot of conversation and I want to try to make it plain because I know I had a tough time understanding. So what I think is being proposed is the Brownfield would purchase the property that you mentioned is for sale. In step 2, the Brownfield, well, let me go back. I guess you tore it before you purchased it. So those two things would happen. Then we would have a development agreement. And then am I understanding the next step would be we would build a building for training? Is that what I'm understanding?
Build a building.
Or sorry, I shouldn't say build, renovate or make it up to code, a building for training. Well, I had that first,
Okay.
purchase the property. So I guess then, if I'm understanding this correctly, the question would be anything that's not covered in Act 381, where would that funding come from?
We seek it because it becomes available every now and then, does it not, Mark?
This is not,
Okay.
let me take us, Madam Chair, if I may. We-
You lead.
Wait just a moment. Mark, she has a question too, Mark. And then after that, then you can talk. Mark,
I'm not a developer.
There you go.
None of you at that table, to my knowledge, are developers.
that's right.
So one would ask, why are you getting into the development business? Your job is to facilitate
Yep,
taxable investment, job creation
yep,
for the residents of the city of Benton Harbor.
there you go.
How do you facilitate this process? If Ms. Chandler's organization, for example, came to you and said, we're really interested in this building, but for asbestos, lead, whatever the issues are inside, we need to demo some walls, we need to change the configuration of floors. Now you can facilitate because the statute allows you to assist with those types of activities. Wholesale purchasing a property, wholesale being the developer and putting in an electrical system and a fire suppression system and all that kind of stuff, it's not allowed. You don't have the money for that, nor do you have the expertise for that.
Right.
I think until something hits this table,
Okay,
as a
John.
perspective, we just wasting our
That's,
time.
you have,
Until something hits this table,
that's it.
comes before this committee, a prospectus, a synopsis, or something. What are we talking about? I mean, we could sit here and talk about ideas, but let's get into what it's gonna take to make it happen. Let something come to the table, we'll evaluate it. Without that, I suggest we move on.
Thank you.
The meeting is over then.
Mr. Clark has the floor.
Well, well, I think we should explore this, building, take a tour of this building. Also, I think some of the nonprofit organizations that are into it, I think we should, if we know any, invite them to our meeting and see if they want to, do some type of partnership or want our help. That's all.
Thank you.
Just,
Ms. Adams has her, Commissioner Adams has her.
Yeah, I just want to leave us all with this because when it's all said and done and this authority is no more, it's Benton Harbor's property and money and assets. And that's what Commissioner Adams is doing, looking at building on Benton Harbor's assets, which is one of the main things that I have not said. Okay?
Your chairman didn't have it, you need a great degree of proficiency.
Because how long you been here? Thank you.
35 years.
So you must be part of the problem.
You're not part of the
You
solution.
finish, Ms. Adams, though, you finish.
I'm done.
Yeah, okay. Now, I think Ms. Chapman had her hand. Now, Ms. Kennard has her hand.
One of the things that I mentioned, the only reason I spoke about the project that Commissioner Adams was because I'll be training the children for landscaping. When there are projects like that, we could train those children in the landscaping of those different locations and just me training them. And that's sometimes money that can be saved because there's large money in just the labor of doing landscaping. So if I'm training them, that sort of offsets some of the costs of landscaping and beautification. Really makes it more of an interest and gets the attention of the person when they're purchasing a building or a property.
Did you have something to say?
So
You
the-
finished, Ms. Adams? Are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so to try to have a second time to clear this up. So the final comment, if I'm understanding correctly, is what should happen should be like a nonprofit or like your organization would come to us with your plan.
well, can I just, my thinking about this, after she's brought it up and considering what Doctor is attempting to do, I can certainly understand her suggestion. Because if my organization say, hey, we're interested in this building, but the cost is, it's cost prohibitive for us. And then she's prepared to build, but there's a problem with what you're trying to do. There's two organizations right there who could possibly utilize that space. School, your school, we are a training organization. I can imagine that it would not be, hard to do something. Even with us, even with the city initiating it. However, I get it, you know, you want someone coming to you that's ready to move forward, got some money. I don't know how we, I mean, you know, we can think outside the box, still consider what 381 offers. Those two buildings have been down there empty for how many years? A long, long time. The seller is motivated, I mean, from 349 to $150,000, $200,000. I thought was, I just could not understand why my management didn't respond right away. So, you know, yeah, it could start with a tour, but I think it can move forward with all of us brainstorming and how this could be done.
Thank you.
You certainly know more about the process than I do, but I think, yeah, it could be a valuable resource for many nonprofits, other organizations in the community that's struggling for space.
Oh, thank you. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about this? Okay, with that.
Created like this, but I'd like to just finish with this. I think Ms. Ivy hit it when she said thinking outside the box. Some of us actually know how to do that. And I think the tour itself would allow minds that are creative to be able to see such a space and see what can be created. Taking into consideration that there is a housing development, a low-income housing development, and our own, finally, community grocery store going up down there. Now, to me, in my mind, something like that makes sense. To put something where there's some type of training can go on for people that may be interested. And it's not that far, it's downtown. And we're trying to lure some of our people out of the community to the downtown area that may not want to go all the way down to Michigan Works. But I'm talking about a space and place. This thing is so large, I had no idea. I had no idea that there's so many possibilities of even a nightclub for young people to go and have a nice time instead of out in the street shaking whatever their mama gave them or thought about it. It's a whole lot of possibilities, but I don't think it's something that we ought to let sit and rot and wait for somebody to tear it down. I see the possibility of us doing something and gaining a great asset for our city. Yeah. Yeah. I've been waiting for this, for us to do some type of development. Yeah, buddy.
Mark,
This may not be it, but
no more questions on this? And since we didn't have a meeting on the floor, a motion, we couldn't call for the question. We'll end the discussion, it's just a point of discussion. Everybody has heard you. Do we want to take a vote? If anybody want to go see it, or we just leave it that anybody want to go see it and make a date when they can come together to visit it? Or how would you like to handle this?
what do we need to, do we need,
Yeah.
we don't need a motion for that, do we, Mark? I'll just send you.
No, but how we are
I
going
will
to together,
send-
everybody just go one at a time, or somebody's got to be
No,
there to let us in.
I have the realtor's information. I will give it to Mark with both addresses and the numbers that you will need for contact. And you can send out a poll as to how many members or whoever would like to go and leave it at that. And those that don't want to, don't show.
I can do that.
Thank you.
That's up on that. Anything else we need to discuss?
I have one final item if you're at that point.
I think that's the last
Number
item.
comments?
Yeah,
I had Mark hand out a draft of a travel conference training seminar protocol. So I noticed we do have funds in the budget for that, but they seem to never get used. And I think, as we were saying earlier, Ms. Ivy, there are many changes continuously to those statutes and regulations which govern our operation. And one of the ways to stay abreast is to utilize those funds that have been appropriated for training. So I just threw some things together to start the discussion, and maybe this committee can take a look at them, try to address something and promote some greater interest in going to the conferences, training seminars, as the case might be. So I'm simply submitting that to the committee. Do with it as see fit.
Thank you for your interest in training. Mark, we do have policies and procedures of how to travel from the activated one or from administration.
No, ma'am, we don't.
We don't,
This
we
is
don't
a-
have them.
This is timely, and this could be very useful going forward.
Have you found any reason that it needs to happen from the people on this board?
There has been an expression of interest, as Mr. Hudson alluded to how can people go to a conference?
Right.
And one of the challenges, as you know, Madam Chair, is how do they get the funding? Do they have to upfront the money? Do they put it on their own credit card, or can they come to this authority first? I have not read this. Obviously, none of you have either. I think Mr. Hudson's presenting it for our consideration.
Yes.
And perhaps it's something that we can discuss at the next meeting.
Everybody look over it.
So we can put it on the agenda without being charged.
Or I could charge
For
if
the
you'd like.
email. No.
Motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Support.
Support.
We'll do this discussion, but as we look over these procedures, how people travel, you gotta realize things have gone tremendously up. Make sure you get all that intake from the head up and high up.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. Okay,
Call the
who's
question.
that? Who's that motion? Adjourn?
Just support.
Oh, it's on, yes.
I just wanted to be noted that I'm certainly interested in training
Yeah,
regarding
travel.
Brownfield development.
You want to travel?
No, I want training.
You have to travel. yeah.
Okay.
Call the question.
Okay. So move. Second. Motion, second for Mark. So move.
I second it.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
28.
Okay. Second. All right, meeting's over. Thank you.
Oh, you know what,
Thank
you know
you.
what, Mark, I thought that you were gonna touch base on it. Commissioner Clark Griffin, you made mention that the Brownfield gave some funding, no, they
Oh,
didn't.
yeah, you said that already.
They didn't.
Okay, all right, but I know I was hearing something about the,
Yes.
Right now, head start.
Yeah.
Okay, I said that after. I said, Average or Tri-County head start.
They got no funding.
You're right.
Neither one of them?
The other.
Oh, okay,
And so.
all right.
But they're trying.
I said if I'm
They're
correct.
entering
Have that
into
conversation.
an agreement, though.
Okay, I know it was something that
It
came
is-
first.
it is-
It's fine, okay.
Well, I know.
Okay, yeah.
Try one, two, and
See you
three.
later.
So somebody should be there to do it.
Thank you.
Take care, have a good one.
So what's the one? Yes.
The comment for 190.
How you been? They keep on busy all over there, you know,
Make sense of it.
and Lincoln,
Okay. Hey,
you and Ava?
Hey.
Really? It's not that way.
okay.
This the
I'll
problem.
be back in a few minutes.
Come on now.
That's-
Okay, yeah, you're right, you're
I
right,
just
you're right.
pulled the front there. Put it on the car.
Let's write that. Who's gonna do all that?
Well, I guess we moved the back. My back seat was okay, thank you. Yes, I'm taking the building.
Generally.
They actually sent me the other, I guess, a training class we had. Oh, for water,
yeah.
No, it wasn't water, it was just a lack of leadership.
Right, accelerating.
Yeah.
It had something
That's okay.
I missed the first couple hours, I think. So
to do. We were talking
That's
about.
why I just put it on the cart, roll the cart back.
What is water?
And then if I have to come back a second time.
Because she was.
Oh, okay, I can see, yeah, because I tried to sound her to city manager.
What does he say? There's so many companies, so many factories that can't even find people. They're willing to try.
That's
So
why
I don't ignore that
watch
comment.
all
It's
over
very
there.
true in today's.
Things like this. When they open me up, I tried to silently behind the scenes without alarming everybody. Exactly. Then when they did not have to get louder and louder, and I wasn't being heard.
Okay, darling, I see
She
you.
brought forward yellow water and I cleaned that and handed them the markers in front of the community. I'm like, uh-oh.
Here we go.
Yeah, okay. And it was over. Yeah.
But anyway,
No, I just,
Mark,
curious if there were another day.
listen to this, come here about this right
Oh, the travel. I think we talked about this prior. It
She's
just
good.
did,
She's good.
we
She's
increased the
good.
budget.
And if she,
here. No, I
if
just.
she's given an opportunity and doesn't
Sometimes
help,
they ask you.
and I'm just only interested
Bring this
in,
back,
in,
bring
in
it back.
what,
I've been out of town a lot.
I keep thinking about
They don't
what
even
notes
give you
before he left,
They said, do you want
before
it
he ran.
on a paper? Do you want it? Everything about
George Floyd. He came to me and he apologized, Commissioner, I know we haven't been fair and da, 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 da.
They know
We're gonna do
thieves.
better. We're gonna
These are
have
people
relations and we're
around
gonna
here
fix
serving for
things.
nothing.
Because when I first came back
And
home
if they take
in
one, This
'98,
place a
I
dollar.
thought we had a
You
lot
got a
of
little budget.
children that had graduated
And when
from
I go-
schools working in their own community and stuff. And as I was doing that, I began to realize some of these parents are
And they
still
just say,
doing
thank
with these children.
Tap it in.
This off in college and they told me can't find a job or not given the opportunity to work at one of the world's largest appliance makers, having to leave their own community
They didn't bring it.
because gentrification was going on. But anyway, those are the type of things that he assured me that they were
Yeah, well,
gonna fix.
I know.
And they've
I
been
know
working on
exactly.
it.
What if I'm trying, you want
They've
me
been,
to
they've been
tell
trying
them
to do
that,
better.
no, they can't bring this up?
But the
No, I
facts,
didn't, but
and this
I-
whole, we're gonna fix that. But that ain't for Bernard.
They took it to the cities.
It's not, and some of the stuff that I've been getting from people that's been applying, that know that their income level
And let me
and
see.
their
this.
record and stuff is good.
Reported, right?
I'm so
That
mad.
they travel and
I'm,
use
All
the
right, can
cities.
we park that one and talk about later?
Gotta be
Yeah,
careful.
yeah. I'm tired.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So let's talk about it.
What you doing, Mama?
It's quite a sacks to go,
Yeah, yeah, uh-huh,
50-pound sack, they go all the way home.
absolutely.
I don't know what the other.
I don't either. We're gonna go with it. We'll see. Well, one, she's a new grade, going on a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, there's just not food up there, yeah, because
We're gonna be on it forward. You better watch.
But I don't know, so we're not understanding.
Because when you
Because this is how it's where you go, right? So
and
it's very, if I was elected.
She came over for some
and
support
the
of that.
children, no,
Or no.
the children,
Like,
His
for
children.
example, I'm
You
in
wanna let
Brownfield,